Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are embarking on a real psychological detective story. We're going to uncover the hidden motives behind some of the most bizarre, seemingly inexplicable human behaviors out there. I want you to imagine your mind as this intricate crime scene, just absolutely filled with clues waiting to be deciphered.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Have you ever done something completely irrational and you simply couldn't explain why? Maybe it's a weird habit, a sudden outburst, or a daily routine that on the surface makes absolutely zero logical sense. We all do things like this, right? But what if I told you that these seemingly senseless actions actually have a profound, hidden logic behind them?
To investigate these mental crime scenes, we're going straight to the source material. We will be looking at Sigmund Freud's foundational 20th century lectures, specifically Lecture 16 on psychoanalysis and psychiatry. This is actually where Freud really started treating psychiatric symptoms not as random glitches in the brain, but as deliberate, meaningful messages. Let's look at how this totally broke the mold. At the time, traditional clinical psychiatry focused heavily on the surface level. They handed out diagnoses, blamed heredity, and honestly, often just wrote patients off as mere degenerates if they acted strangely. Psychoanalysis, however, completely flipped the script. It zoomed in on personal experiences, hidden motives, and finding the actual sense or meaning buried deep inside these strange symptoms. See, when traditional psychiatrists were asked why a specific delusion or symptom popped up in a patient, they usually just shrugged and pointed to family history. They really had nothing else to offer. Freud perfectly nailed this limitation with a proverb, saying he is a rogue who gives more than he has. Basically, psychiatry simply didn't have the tools to explain the actual how or why of a patient's specific personal delusions. So how exactly do we find that why? Let's open up Case File 1, the open door mystery. Picture this everyday offense. A patient arrives at Freud's office. They enter the waiting room and find it completely empty. Then they walk into the inner consulting room, but they intentionally leave both of those heavy doors wide open behind them. This actually forces the doctor to sternly scold them and tell them to go back and shut them. Now, it seems like a simple, careless mistake, doesn't it? Well, actually, there's a hidden motive here. It's a deliberate display of arrogance and contempt. Freud noticed a pattern. This carelessness only happened when the waiting room was empty. You see, the patient expected a massive, intimidating crowd to validate the famous doctor's immense authority. Deeply disappointed by this empty, modest little room, they left the door open to essentially broadcast, "There's no one out there anyway, so I don't need to respect your privacy or your rules." The symptom was actually a secret, petty insult. Now, let's look at a mystery with much higher stakes. Case File 2, the jealousy delusion. Let's examine the evidence here. A happily married 53-year-old woman receives an anonymous letter accusing her fiercely loyal husband of having an affair with a young girl. Now, here is the kicker. The woman knows the letter is a fake. She knows for a fact it was written by her own malicious housemaid. Actually, she provoked the maid to write it by confiding her greatest fear to her just the day before. Yet, despite knowing 100% that the evidence is totally fake, the woman becomes violently jealous and is completely devastated by the accusation. Which brings us to a massive psychological paradox. Why on earth did she hold on to a delusion she fully knew was fake? Why let it destroy her peace and her marriage when she had all the logical evidence she needed to dismiss it? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the step-by-step mechanism of displacement at play here. During her brief analysis, a shocking truth emerged. The woman was actually unconsciously in love with her own son-in-law. This taboo love created severe, crushing pressure and just immense guilt. So to survive this, her mind used projection. She projected the idea of unfaithfulness onto her husband. By doing this, that mirror image delusion became an obsession she desperately needed to hold on to. The delusion basically acted as a cooling compress. Think about it. If her husband was the guilty one, her own conscience was relieved of its terrible secret. The delusion wasn't a mistake in her reality. It was a desperately desired consolation. It was a cooling compress on her burning wound of unconscious guilt. That's exactly why logic couldn't cure her. She literally needed the delusion. Okay, let's move to our final and definitely most complex investigation. Case File 3, the bizarre obsessional ritual. First, we need to understand the condition. Obsessional neurosis is an illness where a person is forced, totally against their will, to dwell on terrifying thoughts and perform tedious, harmless actions just to relieve immense mental energy.
These patients are completely lucid. They are often highly intelligent, they know their symptoms are absurd, they absolutely hate them, yet they are entirely powerless to stop them. Here's the setup. Every single day, this 30-year-old woman runs from her room into a neighboring room. She stands at a very specific spot next to a table in the middle of the room. She rings the bell for her housemaid. She gives the maid a totally trivial errand, or sometimes literally no errand at all. And then she just runs right back to her own room. On the surface, it looks utterly absurd, tedious, and completely meaningless.
But remember, in psychoanalysis, nothing is meaningless. There was a missing clue hiding right in plain sight, a prominent stain on the tablecloth. The woman was intentionally positioning herself next to the table so that the maid, upon entering the room, absolutely could not fail to see this specific stain.
To understand why she did this, we have to look back at her wedding night. Over 10 years prior, the woman married a much older husband. On their wedding night, he was impotent, and he ran repeatedly between his room and hers, trying and failing to succeed. In the morning, to avoid intense shame in front of the housemaid who would come in to make the bed, he grabbed a bottle of red ink to pour on the sheets, but he missed the correct spot. He completely failed, even at the cover-up.
So, the crucial point here is that her bizarre daily ritual was actually her way of correcting the past. By running between the rooms, standing by a highly visible stain on a table, and summoning the maid to witness it, her unconscious mind was tirelessly rewriting history. She was trying to fix her husband's failure and manufacture the evidence of a successful wedding night that she never actually had. Mind-blowing, right?
Which brings us to the ultimate verdict of our explainer: symptoms have sense.
These bizarre acts, leaving doors open, clinging to fake letters, running frantically between rooms, they aren't madness, they aren't degeneracy. They are deeply logical narratives of the unconscious mind trying to solve a problem. And this brilliantly illustrates Freud's core argument. Psychoanalysis is related to psychiatry approximately as histology is to anatomy. Psychiatry maps the surface, identifying the broad shapes and names of our mental conditions. But psychoanalysis? It places those conditions under a microscope, studying the deep cellular tissues of our experiences, our traumas, and our hidden desires.
But, you might naturally be asking yourself right now, if psychoanalysis can't always immediately cure these deep-seated delusions, which, let's be honest, was sometimes the case in Freud's early era, is it just useless? This was actually a major point of skepticism when these lectures were first delivered.
Well, Freud's answer to that is incredibly profound. He argued that every little fragment of knowledge will be transformed into power. Simply understanding the hidden mechanisms of the human mind is an irreplaceable instrument. It completely transforms how we view ourselves and how we view each other. And it leaves us with one final, fascinating thought to ponder. The next time you do something completely irrational, what hidden motive is driving you?